for you to be able to be a part of Sting's final match, what did that mean for you? We got to see you out in the ring with him, but talk to me about some of that.
Well, it was, I think, the most exciting and the best night I've ever had in wrestling. Renee, I grew up as a huge Sting fan, and to be here tonight in the Greensboro Coliseum, I felt like it was the right place at the right time. When I talked to Sting about when he wanted to go out and how he wanted to go out, it felt like this was the right time, the right place, and I feel like we've just done everything perfectly. It was a perfect night, and top to bottom, I thought it was AEW's best show. The build and the way we got to the pay-per-view, I thought it was the best show we've ever done. And top to bottom, it was a perfect night, and you couldn't have asked for anything better, which is perfect because we wanted to give Sting a perfect send-off, and I think we did that. He's such a great person, and he's had this amazing career. And to think back years ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, who would have ever thought this was going to be possible where we got tonight? I mean, you know, I certainly, in 2020, when Sting first reached out to me, I was really hoping to give him a great run. I didn't know it would be quite this long, and it's been amazing. It's been everything we wanted to do, top to bottom. It's exactly what I think we were, exactly what we were looking for. And honestly, you know, it wasn't like Sting's a political person. Sting's not a political animal or anything like that. He's definitely a very giving person, and he wants to give and give and give in pro wrestling. So it wasn't like when he came in, he had ever pushed to have an undefeated run. It wasn't like he ever tried to take the spotlight or wanted it. And it was really something I felt very strongly about from the very beginning, the idea of Sting coming back and having this run and giving him the undisputed spotlight and really give him the best run ever in AEW. Sting went out undefeated. When you look back, every match he ever had, Sting and Darby won. And it really built to a great moment in Phoenix when Sting and Darby won the championship, and that could have been it. But then, of course, it led to the setup for what I thought was the best send-off ever in pro wrestling, what we did tonight for Sting. And Sting put himself in that position to totally put himself through 30 matches, 29 in AEW plus 1 in Japan. 30 matches in 3 years. The greatest comeback ever, I think, in sports. And for Sting to go out there, I believe at 64 years old, and we can say it now, you know, he said time caught up to him, but I don't think it did. I think if it was getting close, I think Sting outran time and finished on top. And tonight was timeless and perfect in every way. So thank you very much for asking.
Yeah, thank you for giving us that. It was incredible to watch. Very emotional out there. Let's take some questions from you guys. I know that there's... There we go.
I'll have to duck under here. Steve Fall from Wrestling News Co. How are you, Tony?
Great, Steve. I'm fantastic. Never been better.
Never been better. It's awesome to hear. Now, you're adding more pay-per-views, but tonight was on a Sunday. In December, World's End was on a Saturday. Is there a strategy towards Saturday and Sunday pay-per-views? Why?
That was an obvious choice, I thought, because Saturday was December 30th and Sunday was December 31st. And I thought, probably you're better off doing the pay-per-view on December 30th versus December 31st, which is, of course, New Year's Eve everywhere in the world.
Well,
so
that's
one holiday we all celebrate.
Yes, of course.
And except, well, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody has the same calendar, but that is one holiday that many of us celebrate, right? And many of the pay-per-view buying countries on the calendar certainly celebrate New Year's Eve. So I thought that was a pretty good choice. And also, looking at the NFL schedule, of course, is a big factor in it. So the Saturday-Sunday thing, definitely, to me, it's like I do it on a situational basis. You see more Sunday pay-per-views outside of NFL season, and then we kind of pick our spots and go with the better night, depending on not just the competition, the availability of the arenas, you know, but generally I try to go against the NFL as little as possible because it's the greatest media conglomerate in the world, of which I'm very fortunate to be a part.
Thank you. Denise, Salcedo, Instinct Culture. So my question is, Sting and Darby, they retained AEW Tag Team Champion still. So what does that mean for the titles moving forward?
What a great question. I was hoping somebody would ask it, or I was just going to go on a dialogue about it and give a monologue, but I'll leave those to Timeless Tony Storm. Very excited about the run. of Sting and what he and Darby have done as a tag team here in AEW. Sting and Darby will be the tag team champions coming out of Revolution with Sting retiring. We are going to vacate the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So going forward, there will be a tournament. I'll talk more about that. We'll have more to reveal, but there'll be a lot of exciting tournaments. There'll be more than one bracket to fill out in March. I know I love filling out my March Madness brackets. March Madness coming up on TBS and TNT, those great channels, and perfect cross-promotional opportunity to have our own bracket madness here in AEW here in March. And we'll have a big tag team tournament coming up on TBS and TNT across the AEW TV shows coming up in March. But just wanted to take a moment and celebrate Sting and Darby. I think, like I said, I think Sting's comeback is the greatest comeback ever. And the run they've had these past 3 years from Revolution 2021 through Revolution 2024, like I said, 30 matches, 30-0, 29-0 in AEW. They did, and Great Muta's send-off. I thought it was really fitting that our great friends in New Japan Pro Wrestling provided us with great footage, and we were able to incorporate that. That included footage of Sting wrestling against Muta and teaming with Muta against the Road Warriors, which I thought was really cool. And for Sting to be able to win the AEW World Tag Team Championship and then successfully defend it, and also successfully defend the honor of his family and go out in his own way, celebrating and on his own terms in front of his people. It was one of the greatest nights and one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of. And I just wanted to reiterate again, like, Sting's not the kind of person that would pull for this. He didn't want the championships. And then when we got involved, when we saw it was a good story, then he really sank his teeth into it, and he had great ideas. But it's not like Sting's fighting to be a champion. It's not like Sting ever fought for the undefeated run. He's one of the most unselfish people, and I think that's shown time and time and time in his career, right? And I think at times, frankly, people have taken advantage of his kindness. And I think what's great about Sting and what was great about AEW, when he arrived here, he got introduced to a new environment, and talk about somebody coming to life in a new environment. Sting became a whole new level of a daredevil than he'd ever been in his whole career. He did more crazy dives off balconies, ladders, more crazy things in the past 3 years in AEW than he had done in the prior 30-plus years combined. Over 35 years of wrestling before that combined. I don't think he had done that much crazy stuff. And AEW, and in particular Darby Allin, rubbed off on him. And if there's one thing I'm really proud of, it's everything we did to get to this night. I said to Tony Schiavone and Darby and a lot of other people backstage, I feel like a lot of us were maybe put on earth, like the stars aligned for us all to be here to do this for Sting tonight. And if we do one thing, like, in our whole lives, getting this right was the right place at the right time. It was awesome. And so that's the championships. And also now with Sting retired, Darby Allin, one of the greatest wrestlers in the AEW, and I think in AEW's history. And he'll also have a lot to look forward to. Coming up at AEW Big Business in Boston, it will be Darby Allin versus Jay White, one-on-one for the first time ever. So thank you all for coming to Greensboro, and you can break some news officially, announcing it to you here for the first time ever. Darby Allin versus Jay White in Boston 10 days from now at AEW Big Business on TBS. And Darby's not going to slow down, but he's been instrumental in this, and along with thanking Sting for everything, Darby Allin has been, like I said, not just a great influence on Sting and a great tag team partner, and he's had Sting's back every step of the way, but I don't think all these great matches and all these great nights would have been possible without him. And I'm very fortunate to have a great wrestler like that in AEW. We all are. And Darby and Sting, great tag team champions first and foremost for the rest of tonight. And then after that, going into this coming week, we'll worry about the tag team championships in the tournament. But there will be a tournament, like I said. Very much looking forward to that on AEW TV, and also was hoping for that great setup to announce Darby versus Jay White on March 13th in Boston at Big Business.
on the social media platforms, there was a video uploaded earlier this week advertising the Winnipeg shows coming up in May, and Kenny Omega was featured in those video packages. Does that mean that there is a chance that he could be cleared for those shows?
I don't think it would be fair at all to create that expectation that Kenny Omega would be cleared by then. I really appreciate the question. I'm very optimistic Kenny will be coming back, but I don't know the exact date, and I think that's an aggressive timetable, but absolutely Kenny's one of AEW's great stars, and we can't wait to have him back as soon as possible. I don't think it would be fair to create the expectation he'd be cleared by then, though. Thanks for asking. Hey.
Hey, Tony, DJ Danny Ocean. So Sting retiring in your ring. I was on the media briefing a couple days ago, and you talked about, growing up watching Sting, and you were a huge fan growing up and whatnot. How does it feel to have him retire in your company, in your ring?
It's the greatest moment of my life. Like I said, I feel like we were all put here today, and we were all put here, the stars aligned to create this moment for him. He deserves this. And like he said, if Sting says it's one of the 3 greatest matches of his career, what does that say? Think about that great career Sting's had. He's been involved in some of the greatest moments ever in wrestling, some of the biggest times, some of the greatest times ever in wrestling. And I think that says everything right there. And the fact that he's happy with this and happy with how it went, that's the most important thing to me. And then people are saying it was the greatest pay-per-view of all time, maybe. I think that's great to hear. And certainly for us, it was a very successful pay-per-view. We know the box office was tremendous. And for us, it's going to be one of our greatest pay-per-views ever in terms of revenue. One of our biggest crowds we've ever had. I think it'll end up being our biggest crowd we've ever had for a pay-per-view in North America in terms of live fans, and probably up there with the first Grand Slam for our biggest crowds ever in the U.S. It was one of our biggest gates ever, and it's going to be one of our biggest pay-per-views ever. So it's just a huge night, and not only a box office and commercial success, but the most important thing to me, like I said, is that Sting's happy with it, and to see him and know that we're sending him into retirement, and so happy that he's already itching to come back. Well, I don't know about that, but I would say that how about that we've had this 3-year run, and that Sting would walk out of here undefeated and with as much passion for the pro wrestling business and for the pro wrestling fans, and with the memories that we've made in the last 3 years. It's really special. So I'm very grateful to everybody here in Greensboro, including all of you here and everybody watching tonight. It was one of the greatest memories of my life, and I think this would probably be up there, this in Wembley Stadium, and the achievement of 81,035 paid fans at Wembley Stadium, along with now tonight Sting's retirement and this perfect night at Revolution tonight with all of you. Thank you.
Very pleasant surprise to see Kyle O'Reilly back tonight. Can you kind of talk about this long road that it's been back for him, and does this mean, should we assume he's cleared, he's ready to go?
Kyle O'Reilly, it is so amazing to have him back in AEW. I'm a huge fan of Kyle's, and people forget Kyle went on this incredible run of matches. He really, before he got injured, was on an amazing run. He had challenged Jon Moxley for the championship. He won the Casino Battle Royale on Dynamite, and I thought his match against Mox was one of the best matches of the year in 2022. It was phenomenal. And the run he had leading up to that, he won clean matches against Ray Phoenix, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, a lot of top stars on the run to then going into that Casino Battle Royale, and he was just phenomenal wrestling at the highest level in his tremendous career. And it was actually here in the Greensboro Coliseum in 2021 where Kyle O'Reilly first arrived in AEW, and Orange Cassidy was involved in that match and that moment too. And very fitting to have Kyle O'Reilly, and of course we saw the Undisputed Kingdom out there. There's a lot of history. We have a new international champion, Roderick Strong. Quite a moment, Kyle O'Reilly coming back and being here at the Greensboro Coliseum where he first arrived in AEW years ago.
Hi Tony, Kimmy Sokol from the Pop Break. So I want to talk about Eddie Kingston because he is the Triple Crown Continental Classic champion. And we have Supercard of Honor coming up. So can it be hopeful that Eddie Kingston comes back to Ring of Honor to defend that title at Supercard of Honor since he hasn't been there since December of 2023?
Yes, I absolutely am planning for that. We had to get through Revolution and decide the Continental Crown tonight, and it was an amazing match, Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson, on an amazing pay-per-view. And we were very fortunate to have a great match like that for the Continental Crown tonight. It's really befitting of the status of the Continental Crown and the great matches we've had since the Continental Classic when we established the AEW Continental Championship. And of course, Eddie Kingston being the Ring of Honor World Champion, absolutely you can expect Eddie Kingston at Supercard of Honor now after he retained the Continental Crown at Revolution in that awesome match versus Bryan Danielson tonight. Thank you.
Keith Elliott Greenberg with Inside the Ropes magazine again. When I was speaking to some of the fans here in Greensboro, they were gratified that Sting's retirement was here. And not just in the city of Greensboro, but at the Greensboro Coliseum specifically. Now, you said earlier, right time, right place. Communicating not to us, but to those fans, why is the Greensboro Coliseum the right place?
I'm very excited about how tonight came out, and a big part of it was the fans in Greensboro and the environment. And this is an environment that Sting knew very well, and of course, Sting versus Ric Flair in 1988, Clash of the Champions. That was a classic match, and it really began this crazy run that Sting's had on the TBS network. And to think Sting's run in the Superstation has gone decades. It's spanned multiple promotions, and I believe he ended on the highest of notes here in AEW. And these past 3 years, it's been our honor to have Sting wrestling for us on TBS and TNT. And the Greensboro Coliseum is a huge part of Sting's tradition. And in AEW, I really respect the history of pro wrestling. And I tried to make sure we gave the best presentation possible, the best platform possible to give Sting the greatest send-off imaginable. And I thought the Greensboro Coliseum was the right place to do it. And I thought Revolution 2024, given where Sting was at, and given that it was something he was excited about, I thought it was perfect.
What's up, man? Tommy Thomas from highspots.com. I just want to say Renee's jacket is awesome. The tassels are amazing.
It's great.
This has been an absolutely amazing night. Is there anything that you personally think could have added to it to make it that much more over the moon than it already
It was
was?
a perfect night. It was a perfect night. It was one of the greatest nights. You know, in life, you can only be in one place at one time. You can only do one thing at a time, really. And tonight was the perfect place. Truly, given Sting's career and the countless countries he's wrestled in, the countless cities Sting's wrestled in over these decades, there were so many great places we could have had Sting's final match. I had to pick one, and this was the right place at the right time. And the way it came off, I just am so happy. So it was perfect night, and I'm very grateful to the fans in Greensboro. I'm very grateful to TBS and TNT. Very grateful to, most of all, everybody involved in Sting's final run, all the wrestlers he's encountered along the way, everybody in AEW, the staff, of course the fans. And tonight, the Young Bucks put up this amazing fight, and Sting's partner, Darby Allin, has been there through this entire thing. Every match of Sting's comeback, they've been together, and what a run. Undefeated, like I said before. To have Sting and Darby, I think, ended up 16-0 as a tag team, and overall 30-0, 29 in AEW, and of course one in Noah. It was a very special one, sending the Great Muta off, and to have 30 matches in 3 years for Sting, and to look back, I think it's going to go down as the greatest final run ever in wrestling, and I'm very proud that AEW was the place that Sting retired.
Okay, a few more. We have two in the front here. Lyric Swinton, SNME Radio. So earlier tonight, it was announced officially that AEW Dynasty will be happening in April. And so in the past, a lot of AEW pay-per-views have been named significantly. You talked about Wrestle Dream being Antonio Inoki, All in London being tribute to the original All In. So what's the thought process behind Dynasty specifically?
Thank you for asking. Thank you. I'm really glad you asked that question. Thank you. I'm of the mind that it's a very important year for AEW. We've got, I believe, the best roster in wrestling, and in the weeks to come, the roster will be showcased, and I think everyone will see that AEW in 2024 is only going to continue to grow and build and establish ourselves. I've got really great plans for the next couple weeks for all the fans in Atlanta. You're going to want to be in Atlanta. Of course, we've talked a lot about big business in Boston, and very excited to go to Toronto and have very special things planned in the coming weeks and after that. But certainly these coming weeks, Atlanta, Boston, Toronto, we have great things planned for you without saying specifically what they are, but I'm very excited about that. And the run to this next pay-per-view, it's going to be very special, and it feels like we're building that dynasty. You know, we talked about Ospreay and Takeshita being like Jordan and Pippen playing against each other, and I think it feels like we're building our own dynasty here with Will Ospreay arriving, the quality of the wrestling up and down the card. It's never been better. Tonight, I think, was the best pay-per-view we've ever done, and to establish a new brand on pay-per-view, it bodes really well for us. Last year, we launched some new events. This is a new event. I'm not planning to launch a ton of new events this year because last year was so successful, and I felt like we found a sweet spot. I do feel like we've had Revolution as a tentpole event in AEW that year in, year out is delivered. Last year, it's been voted as the best pay-per-view of the year, Revolution 2023, and I think it's the front runner for the best event this year. It'll certainly be hard for anybody to top, including us. It was just phenomenal. But we're going to keep trying. How do you top a moment like that? But on the other hand, right now, the roster is getting so strong. And even though we all are very grateful now, we can look back at these past 3 years of Sting, and we're going to keep wrestling here. And Will Ospreay sitting here, and Will Ospreay being a part of AEW, that's a huge step for us. And we're going to continue to take huge steps. And you saw tonight returns. We talked about Pac coming back to AEW. There's a lot of great things to look forward to, and the roster of women and men here is only going to continue to get better. And some of that is new additions, and some of that is bringing back talent that's been injured now. And I'm really excited about that. And I think people are going to see that AEW is the best roster in the world. And as we approach April 21st, a new franchise, Dynasty, which I'll be honest, it just felt like the right name to me for where we're at as a company and where we're going as a company. That we're establishing a dynasty here. This is an important year for us, and I'm very proud of what we did tonight. And we're going to go off that momentum and establish April 21st, a new event. And it's very fitting to do it in St. Louis, a city with this phenomenal tradition of pro wrestling, one of the greatest histories in the sport, really, I think, in pro wrestling, what has happened in St. Louis. It's great for AEW to go there, and it's also fulfilling a promise I made to St. Louis that we would bring a great pay-per-view event there, and this is going to be a great pay-per-view event, and it will have been worth the wait for St. Louis, I promise. And I'm very excited about bringing that April 21st Dynasty to pay-per-view for AEW. Thank you.
There we go.
Haley Miller from comicbook.com. So as AEW continues to expand on, more pay-per-views and new and exciting content, it is a contract renewing year. So I have to ask, have talks begun between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery? And have any other interested parties kind of been involved either?
Well, we're still in this exclusive phase with Warner Brothers Discovery, which has been amazing for AEW, and very excited about the rest of 2024. And I think 2024, we're really rising to the occasion. This has been a great year, and it's going to keep going. And very proud about what we've been delivering on TBS and TNT week out. And Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW have really built a close relationship. And the current management group came in and has embraced AEW even more than ever before. We were already on such great footing, and now we've come in this past year. We've gone from 3 hours of TV across Wednesday and Friday. We added Collision, and we've added more pay-per-view events with great success. Again, very excited, April 21st, to add Dynasty to what is already, I believe, the best slate of events in pro wrestling, the AEW pay-per-views. And certainly now, I would say, it's a great time for us with Warner Brothers Discovery. We've been doing great things, and the conversations have gone really well. And I'm very, very happy to be here at Warner Brothers Discovery, and certainly I think they're very happy to have us, and we'll see what happens. But certainly we're still in that exclusive phase of what is the most important year ever in AEW's history.
2 more questions?
Hi, Tony. Samantha Shipman from Daily DDT. I have a question about the relationship with CMLL. Will that allow for women to come over to AEW to compete? And could we see somebody like Stephanie Baker here?
Yes, and yes. Absolutely it would, and it can. And I would love to have Stephanie here, and I've already talked to Salvador about that. I'm excited about it, and she's somebody I've asked Salvador about, and I would love to have here.
Last question?
We're also very happy with that relationship. CMLL have been great partners for us so far, and it's been great working with them. Thank you. And we'd love to have Stephanie here. Hey.
Corey Lee with the Wrestling Observer. 2 questions, one business and one also about a contract status that has come up. The first is with the business. Do you have an actual number for the gate on this right now? Did it break $1 million?
I don't have the exact number. I think it's in that range. It's going to be one of our bigger gates, biggest gates, and certainly for live attendance, it's our biggest. I did not price it as aggressively as some of other events in wrestling, but it was very aggressively priced, and it will probably be in that neighborhood of $1 million gate, give or take.
Yeah. And the second question I have is there was a couple rumors going around today about Ricky Starks. Want to see what his contract status is at this time, and basically if you have anything to add on some of these rumors that are going around.
I don't know what the rumor is. Ricky's part of AEW. He's definitely a great wrestler.
There was a rumor going around that his contract might have expired or he's going somewhere else. Like I said,
Ricky's definitely still under contract in AEW, so I haven't seen that. But obviously we were doing Revolution today, so it came out very good. And Ricky was a big part of Sting's run. He was Sting's first match in AEW, teaming with Brian Cage against Darby and Sting at Revolution 3 years ago. And then to come back here 3 years later, of course, Ricky and Big Bill, I'm very grateful. And I've said that to Ricky too, both right after the match and since, very grateful. Ricky and Big Bill, what great World Tag Team Champions, and what a great match for Sting and Darby to win the World Tag Team Championship in Phoenix. And then the post-match really should have been a beautiful moment, but it was a very important, pivotal moment because it did set the stage for tonight.
Yes.
And so Ricky was there at the beginning of Sting's run in AEW 3 years ago to the day. And then, of course, been a huge part of the title change that set the stage for tonight, which was the greatest send-off ever. So he's been here for some of the big moments. So no, very excited about having him here. He's definitely a part of AEW. And again, has been a big part of Sting's final run, which has been the most important thing we've ever done as a company, and I think one of the really special things ever in wrestling. And I'm very grateful to all of you for giving us a platform here. Thank you very much for coming to this pay-per-view. I appreciate it. I know some of you are from close by, but a lot of you traveled very far to be here in Greensboro tonight. I hope that it was worth it for you. I know certainly it's been worth it for me, every bit of it. And it's one of the greatest nights of my life. Like I said, I got an 8 a.m. in Palm Beach, so I'll be up. It's going to be a long one for me. And looking forward to a great week for AEW. We've got some really big things planned for all of you in Atlanta and in Boston, Toronto. Great shows coming up, I promise. And I believe start to finish, March of 2024 will be one of the most important and greatest months ever in AEW, beginning with this Revolution on pay-per-view, and there's a lot to come, and I'm excited about all of it. And I think it's important for the company to really keep our foot on the gas pedal, because tonight was probably the greatest night in the history of AEW, and start to finish, as a company, every single person, everyone backstage, the fans, and the great staff of AEW, both behind the camera and on camera, Renee and everybody on camera, and the wrestlers, start to finish, all the matches, everybody delivered all night, and we couldn't have set the stage better for the most important moment of all, the final Showtime, Sting's last match. And I really appreciate all of you that made it possible. Thank you for coming to Revolution. God bless you all. Get home safely. Thank you very much.